Don't come to our house for the Christmas holidays this year. If you do, I'll make you eat leftovers,"
said my mother-in-law, Emily, mockingly with a tone full of amusement. Her voice echoed through the room from the speaker of my phone. How many times has this happened now? I couldn't even muster a single rebuttal. Emily's thoughtless words kept coming. How many times had I asked her to stop? But my feelings never reached her. In the end, I had no one to talk to about it, and years went by. But on this day, everything changed.
Who are you feeding leftovers to?
Emily's words were abruptly cut off by her husband, Michael, who spoke from right in front of her. In that moment, it felt like time stood still. At the same time, I couldn't help but wonder what kind of expression Emily was making. My name is Catherine Simmons, and I'm 29 years old. I work from home while living happily with my 29-year-old husband, Ryan. Ryan and I met when we were juniors in college. Although we went to different schools, we met at the same part-time job. I remember not being able to gauge the right distance at first, unsure of how to approach him. The moment our relationship started to grow closer was when we happened to have the chance to walk home together. It was a cold, windy evening, and we were both heading to the same train station. We both fell silent, and as I thought it would have been better to go home separately, Ryan started talking to me.
You're in college, right?
Yeah.
Which school is it?
Come to think of it, I realized I didn't know which university Ryan attended, so I answered with the name of my own university. It turned out that Ryan was attending a nearby university. That instantly made him feel more relatable, and we started chatting, though only a little at first.
Well, this is my stop.
Yeah. See you around. Though brief, our conversation made us comfortable enough to speak casually to each other by the time we reached the station. From that day on, we grew closer and eventually exchanged contact information. We began chatting outside of work as well. And about 2 months after the day we walked home together, we started dating. It was Ryan who asked me out. Never did I think I'd end up dating someone I initially felt so awkward around. Life really is unpredictable. After graduation, we both became working professionals. 6 years into our relationship, when both of our careers had settled, Ryan proposed to me, and I of course nodded in agreement.
Oh my, how wonderful that Ryan found someone so amazing.
At our engagement announcement, Emily treated me kindly.
You're such a beautiful woman.
Her compliments were so excessive that I wondered if she was being over the top. However, there was someone next to Emily looking visibly upset. It was Michael. He didn't speak much and just stared at Ryan and me. When he finally said something, it was just short phrases like, "Yeah," or "well." Honestly, I was worried if I could get along with him. Still, seeing Emily's cheerful demeanor made me think I could manage. I decided I wouldn't force a relationship with Michael and would go through Ryan or Emily if anything came up. After that, we got married and started a new life together. What kind of happiness might await us in the future? I felt a flutter of excitement as I thought about what was ahead. But in our 3rd year of marriage, I faced an unexpected challenge. One day, Ryan told me that he had to go on a long business trip for work. Although he could return home occasionally, he would inevitably spend less time at home than before. He asked if I wanted to join him on the trip, but I chose to stay behind because of the house and other responsibilities. In hindsight, that decision was a mistake. About a week after Ryan left for his trip, Emily called me. I received a call from Emily. Since Ryan had probably already told her about the business trip, I thought she might be calling out of concern, which made me feel a little hopeful as I answered the phone. Hello?
Hi, Catherine. How have you been? Are you doing okay on your own?
Yes. As expected, it was just as I thought. I felt my heart warm at Emily's kind voice and words. But then she said something that made my ears doubt what they had heard.
Ryan must be relieved to be away from a wife like you.
What? Emily's tone didn't change. It was as if she were stating an everyday fact. The suddenness of her words left me stunned.
Well, talk later.
With that, Emily hung up the phone as if nothing had happened. My hands were trembling. Relieved to be away from a wife like me. Ryan would never think that, and I couldn't believe Emily truly meant it either. Maybe she was just in a bad mood. I tried not to let it bother me, but after hearing something like that, it became hard to ignore. That day, I felt so down that I couldn't focus on anything. Normally, I wouldn't get so upset over insults. But the fact that Emily said it shocked me. But I hoped that from tomorrow, Emily would go back to her usual self. I was expecting that. However, that hope was misplaced. Since the first time Emily said something hurtful to me, she started calling almost every day. Her calls were filled with complaints about me.
Are you really supporting my son properly? Because honestly, I don't think you are.
Is that so?
Absolutely not. For starters, just listen to your voice. It sounds so unreliable.
Emily would go on and on with incomprehensible criticisms, eventually saying things like,
It's hard to believe my son chose you when there are so many better girls out there.
"I'm sorry." All I could do was apologize. No matter how much I thought about it, I couldn't figure out why Emily had changed so much. I wished I could confide in someone about Emily, but I couldn't bring myself to do it. If she ever found out I had been discussing her behind her back, she'd likely get even angrier and say even crueler things to me. In the end, I thought it might be better to ask Emily directly. Thinking that, I decided to bring it up when Emily called me. Have I done something wrong?
What? Why would you think that?
I mean, the things you've been saying, and everything. I was wondering if maybe I upset you or something. You've been colder than before, haven't you? Isn't your tone a bit harsh? I wanted to ask that, but I couldn't find the right words. Emily let out a mocking laugh through her nose.
Oh my, what's this? Are you trying to play the victim? Want to say you're being bullied?
That's not what I mean. I was just wondering if I had done something wrong.
Ugh, you're so annoying. I'm hanging up now.
Wait a second. In the end, Emily abruptly hung up the phone. I wondered what she had intended to say. Well, I could guess it was probably just more harassment. Undeterred, Emily called again the next day, and the day after that, to continue her relentless criticism. Why was she doing this? By this point, it was clear that Emily's behavior wasn't just due to a bad mood. It seemed she had disliked me from the very beginning. Each phone call was draining as Emily detailed everything about me that she found displeasing. However, I still had no idea why Emily disliked me or when it had started. As if the calls weren't enough, about a month after Ryan left for his business trip, Emily escalated her actions. One day, while I was working from home, the doorbell rang. Since I wasn't expecting anyone, I nervously looked at the intercom screen and saw Emily standing there. What? I was so startled that the words slipped out of my mouth. Moments later, loud banging on the door and Emily's voice followed.
Hey, Catherine. I know you're in there. Open up. I need to talk to you.
Fearing she would disturb the neighbors, I quickly opened the door. Yes.
Finally, let me in.
Wait. Emily pushed past me into the house, and as soon as she looked around, she said this.
What is this? So dirty.
Honestly, the house wasn't tidy enough to host guests at that moment, but if I had known in advance that Emily was coming, I could have cleaned it up. That said, it wasn't nearly as messy as she made it out to be. Her reaction was over the top. If you'd told me in advance.
What? The way you're saying that makes it sound like everything is my fault.
No, that's not what I meant. Emily twisted my words and got angry all on her own. Once she was like that, there was no stopping her.
And what's with all this laundry? Why are you letting it pile up like this?
At some point, Emily had moved from the living room to the laundry area and was now shouting loudly. I'm sorry. I was planning to do it after I finished working.
I don't care if you're working. It's disgraceful to leave so much laundry sitting around. Go do it now.
Without listening to a word I said, she kept pushing me to do the laundry immediately. Yes. Knowing she wouldn't listen to reason, I started doing as she said. Even after that, Emily inspected every corner of the house, pouncing on anything that displeased her with a terrifying intensity. Honestly, those complaints were purely Emily's subjective opinions. Things like having too many items on the table or the TV angle not being to her liking. It was always trivial complaints like that. But this angle is actually the easiest for us to watch.
There's no way. Tilting it more would make it so much better.
Even when I tried to argue back, Emily didn't listen at all.
Come on, fix it already.
Yes. At this point, all I could do was silently follow her instructions. Emily finally left about an hour after arriving.
Next time, make sure your house is presentable before welcoming guests like me in.
Would she show up unannounced again? Besides, calling herself a guest, seriously?
Do you hear me?
Oh, I'm sorry. Emily left the house, looking dissatisfied with my response. After that day, Emily began showing up at my house without warning, always finding something to complain about before leaving. Frankly, it made me feel terrible. Ryan and I live close to his parents' house, making it easy for Emily to come over whenever she pleases.
Letting the laundry pile up again, huh?
It's not really piling up.
To me, this looks the same as letting it pile up. Now, hurry up and do it.
Even leaving one towel unwashed was enough to spark her complaints. It seemed like she couldn't stand not making me feel miserable. If someone asked whether Emily kept her own house perfectly spotless, I doubt she could confidently say yes.
Just because Ryan's not home doesn't mean you should slack off. You're his wife now, so act like it, even when he's not around.
Act like it? What do you mean by that?
You don't even know? Honestly, you're hopeless.
No matter how much I asked what she meant by acting like it, Emily never explained. I doubted she even had anything specific in mind. Still, I couldn't understand why she disliked me or why she was harassing me. In the first place, my husband and I only saw each other's parents around Christmas holidays. If we had met more frequently, I might have unknowingly done something to upset them, but that didn't seem to be the case. Meanwhile, I couldn't bring myself to tell Ryan about Emily's harassment, leaving me to live with a sense of unease. Ryan was already busy with work, and I didn't want to burden him with unnecessary worries about Emily. I figured it was best for me to just endure it. But thinking about how long I might have to put up with this, and if it would continue forever, filled me with dread. Then, something happened that changed my life drastically. The catalyst was a burned-out light bulb in our house. Normally, I would replace it myself, but this one was a special type I couldn't handle. When I asked Ryan, he said he would ask his father, Michael, to take care of it. I was grateful, but at that time, I still felt intimidated by Michael. Even when we met, Michael barely spoke and quietly sipped his drink, leaving me unable to figure out what he was thinking. But Ryan didn't know how I felt about Michael, and refusing his help seemed rude. So, I reluctantly agreed to let Michael handle it. 2 days after Ryan called him, Michael came over. "Thank you for coming." I let Michael into the house and timidly said thank you, but he just gave a curt nod. As usual. Michael showed no emotion and quietly began replacing the light bulb, unaware of how I felt. I figured he'd finish quickly. Just as I was thinking that, my phone rang. When I looked at the screen, Emily's name was there. My hand started trembling instantly. Honestly, I wanted to ignore the call, but with Michael right in front of me, I couldn't risk doing something careless. With trembling hands, I hurriedly operated my phone. In my haste, I accidentally put it on speakerphone.
Hello, Catherine. Still lazing around at home, just because Ryan isn't there today? You're such a slob.
Emily, as usual, began her tirade of snide remarks. This is bad, Michael mustn't hear this conversation. Thinking that, I hurried to turn off the speakerphone. But then, out of the corner of my eye, I saw movement. I turned to see Michael silently watching me. Wondering what he wanted to say, I saw Michael mouth the words, "Leave it on." Confused, I obeyed Michael's instruction.
Oh, right.
Emily continued, oblivious to the fact that Michael was listening.
Don't come over for the Christmas holidays this year. If you do, I'll make you eat leftovers.
Feeding me leftovers. She must have planned to keep this from both Michael and Ryan. But there was no way Michael would let this slide after hearing it. As Emily continued to insult me, Michael finally cut in.
Who exactly are you planning to feed leftovers to?
The other end of the line went completely silent.
I heard everything from the start of the call. We'll talk when I get home.
Why are you there?
I told you, I'm at Ryan's place to replace a light bulb.
It's not like, well.
Emily fumbled for an excuse, but even she knew there was no getting out of this.
Anyway, you don't need to say anything more right now. When I get home, we'll have a serious talk. Catherine will also be explaining her side of the story. Don't think you can get away with this.
After Michael urged me to hang up the phone, I did as he said. Emily said something as I hung up, but I was too flustered to catch it.
I'm sorry.
After the call, Michael looked at me and apologized. No, Michael, it's not your fault. It's fine, really.
I'm truly sorry. So sorry.
But Michael continued apologizing. A few seconds later, he finally raised his head and looked me in the eye.
Judging from Emily's behavior, it seems like she's been treating you like this for a while. If you don't mind, could you tell me more about what's been happening?
Yes. Seeing this new side of the usually quiet Michael felt refreshing, and I nodded in agreement.
So, that's what's been going on.
Emily started harassing me about 6 months ago. I told Michael everything that had happened during that time. Michael listened in stunned silence.
I'm so sorry. I'll talk to Emily when I get home and make sure she apologizes to you.
If Emily was willing to apologize, it wouldn't make sense to refuse. Yes. Please do. Oh, by the way, I have something to give you. I retrieved an item from a drawer and handed it to Michael. He widened his eyes for a moment but quickly tucked it into his bag.
I'll make sure to return this.
With that, Michael finished his work and left. Maybe, just maybe, I could finally escape this life. My heart swelled with hope at the thought. A few hours later, my phone rang. The caller ID displayed Emily's name. Trembling, I reluctantly answered, only to hear Emily's tearful voice.
Catherine, I'm so sorry.
It was clear Michael had given her a serious talking to. Emily continued apologizing profusely.
I'm sorry for all the horrible things I've said to you. I truly regret it.
She was crying so much that I felt lost for words. However, Emily couldn't possibly understand how I felt and just kept apologizing relentlessly.
I swear, from now on, I won't say anything mean anymore. Please forgive me. I know I'm being selfish, but
I didn't want to forgive her. But if I didn't, it might lead to more trouble down the road. Even though Michael had shown he was on my side, thinking about all the things Emily had done to me made it hard to let go of my doubts. I understand.
really?
Yes.
Thank you. Thank you for forgiving someone like me.
Emily then burst into loud sobs. At first, I wondered if she was genuinely remorseful, but as her crying grew louder, I started to suspect it might be an act.
Can we get along from now on?
What does she mean by "from now on"? It wasn't as if we'd ever had a good relationship before. Okay. Thank you. Thank you so much. Well, if it were the old Emily, she would never have apologized to me at all. After Michael's scolding, I thought that if Emily felt even a little remorse, it would be fine. With that thought, I ended the call. But I was wrong. A week after her apology, Emily started harassing me again. I was now certain her apology had been nothing but an act.
I only apologized because Michael told me to. I still hate you, just so you know.
Why does Emily dislike me so much, and why is she so obsessed with tormenting me? Come to think of it, I had never asked her why. Maybe it would be easier to deal with her if I knew the reason. Can I ask you something?
What?
Why do you hate me so much, Emily? Did I do something to upset you? If I did, I'll apologize. I honestly can't remember doing anything. Her response was completely unexpected.
There's no particular reason.
What?
I just don't like any woman who gets close to my son. Every girl he brings home is never good enough for him. And out of all of them, you're the one I dislike the most.
But why? How could such a ridiculous reason be allowed to stand? I couldn't help but let my frustration slip out. Emily cackled and said with a sneer.
Because you married my son.
As I stood there in shock, Emily continued speaking.
Before you became his wife, I had the chance to meet a few of my son's girlfriends. Out of all of them, you were the least suitable for him.
Then why did you welcome me so warmly?
Because you're the one my son chose, aren't you? And with Michael being the way he is, if I didn't act welcoming, my son would have been upset. So, I pretended to welcome you.
Hearing that she thought everything through to this extent left me speechless. Realizing I had been completely played filled me with a mix of sadness and anger. I see.
I'm glad you fell for it. Your utterly naive expression was just priceless.
Emily let out another mocking laugh, ridiculing me.
Let's end this call for today. I'll drop by your house again soon, so wait for me, okay?
With that declaration, Emily hung up the phone. Enough was enough. I picked up my phone and called Michael. A week later, while I was working at home, the doorbell rang. I already had an idea of who it might be. I checked the intercom and hurried to the door. Hello?
Hi.
It was my in-laws, Michael and Emily. Michael had a deep frown, his face filled with anger. Next to him, Emily was glancing around nervously, unable to stay still. "Please come in."
Thanks. Sorry to trouble you.
Michael pulled Emily inside by the hand.
I'm truly sorry for everything.
The reason my in-laws came to the house this time. It was for Emily to apologize to me face to face. But Emily made no move to apologize. Michael, clearly losing his patience with Emily, raised his voice loudly.
Hey, apologize already.
But
Even now, Emily tried to make excuses. I sighed in disbelief. Michael, however, grew even angrier.
What are you thinking? You came here to apologize. Why are you trying to make excuses?
Catherine,
What about Catherine? You said awful things to her just to satisfy your selfish whims. I already scolded you for this before. I thought you'd learned your lesson when you called to apologize back then.
Apparently, Michael had been furious after that previous phone call. I was surprised to learn that Emily had called to apologize on her own initiative. But after hearing her true feelings, it was clear that the apology had been nothing but an act.
And now you're still trying to squirm your way out of it. None of this would have happened if you hadn't done such horrible things in the first place.
then what about my feelings? Am I just supposed to endure it all?
Endure. Do you have any idea how much Catherine has endured up until now? Fine, maybe you can't accept the person our son chose, but that doesn't give you the right to harass her.
But,
Emily repeated herself, trying to escape the situation. If she didn't truly feel remorseful, why had she even bothered coming here? As I was thinking this, Michael voiced exactly what I was feeling.
Why did you even come here to apologize if you don't mean it? Was it just because I told you to?
I did feel like apologizing at first. But when I saw Catherine's face, that feeling disappeared.
It was as if Emily believed she could say whatever she wanted to me without consequence.
What an outrageous thing to say. You really haven't been remorseful, have you?
Well, do you even know exactly what I did, Michael? In detail. Maybe Catherine is just saying all this to make me look bad. You don't really understand, do you?
That excuse wasn't going to work. Maybe it was time to give up on getting an apology from Emily. As I thought this, Michael finally stood up.
You're the one who doesn't understand.
He pulled a diary and a phone out of his bag. At that moment, Emily's face froze. She must have realized something.
This is a diary Catherine gave me, along with this phone that contains recordings of your calls. Ever since the first time I confronted you, I asked Catherine to record every call you made to her.
Yes, after that first incident, Michael had asked me to record Emily's calls whenever possible. I had also handed him my diary when he came to replace the light bulb. I've always enjoyed keeping a diary, and since Emily's harassment began, I had written about it almost daily.
What? You set me up?
Set you up? How could you possibly interpret it that way? Stop twisting everything to suit your narrative.
Michael shouted at Emily with a force I had never heard before. Emily, too, seemed stunned to see this side of him.
I did all this for Catherine's sake. Don't act like the victim when you're the one who did wrong.
I wasn't acting like the victim, I mean.
As Emily tried to continue, the sound of the front door opening interrupted her. They're finally here. Everyone but Emily knew who had arrived. Emily glanced nervously toward the front door. The sound of footsteps grew closer, and the living room door opened. There stood Ryan.
Mom, what are you doing to Catherine?
Actually, after that incident, Michael and I decided to talk to Ryan about everything. After we told him, Ryan offered to take time off work and come home, but since Emily had apologized, I felt bad and declined his offer. But after her harassment resumed, Michael suggested bringing Ryan into the situation. We hoped that seeing how much Ryan, her own son, disapproved of her behavior might prompt Emily to change. Unfortunately, we were wrong.
Ryan? Why are you here?
Dad called me. I've heard everything from him and Catherine about what you've been doing. How could you treat her so horribly?
But I only did it for your sake.
Even with Ryan there, Emily didn't change her stance. To her, it was all for Ryan. She seemed convinced she was completely in the right.
For my sake? What are you talking about? You've been sneaking around, bad-mouthing the woman I chose, trying to make sure Dad and I wouldn't find out. How was that supposed to be for me?
Ryan's firm anger seemed to leave Emily speechless. As if to drive the point home, Michael revealed something to Emily.
I can't do this anymore. Let's get a divorce.
What?
Michael had mentioned divorce ever since Emily resumed her harassment. Ryan and I both knew about it. Although they had been married for years, Michael said he couldn't stay with someone who could hurt others so easily. I was surprised that such a thing could happen, but both Ryan and I chose to respect Michael's feelings.
Wait, you can't just bring up divorce now.
I hoped you would reflect on your behavior after this incident. But I have the divorce papers at home. Fill them out when we get back.
No, absolutely not. I can't live on my own.
That's your problem. I can't continue living with someone who hurts others so selfishly.
Michael looked straight at Emily and firmly expressed his thoughts. It was only at this point that Emily seemed to realize Michael was truly serious.
I'm sorry. I won't do it again.
Emily sobbed as she clung to Michael's leg. But Michael's resolve didn't waver. He looked down at her with cold eyes. Both Ryan and I turned our attention to Emily. I couldn't tell what Ryan was thinking, but to me, Emily just seemed pitiable.
Hey, Catherine, Ryan, say something. Divorce? That's too much.
I'm with Dad on this. You've treated Catherine horribly for so long. Don't you think this is the least you deserve?
No way. Catherine, please, say something to them. Help me.
Why did Emily think I would take her side? It was so absurd that I almost laughed. I agree with Michael. Why on earth would I side with you? I had no intention of ever seeing Emily again. So, I decided to speak my mind clearly.
But
what? You're incredibly selfish. Besides, once you're divorced from Michael, you'll never have to see my face again. I won't have to see yours either. Isn't that a good deal?
But
Exasperated by Emily's endless excuses, I let out a deep sigh. Perhaps the sigh had an impact because Emily collapsed to the floor.
Look, you have no allies here. That's the reality. Let's go home.
In the end, Michael's decision didn't change. He dragged Emily out of the house.
I'm sorry you had to go through all this.
Ryan, like his father, apologized to me. But it wasn't Ryan's fault to apologize for. It's okay. Thank you for coming all the way here, I said, meeting Ryan's eyes as he slowly lifted his head. He apologized again. After that, my in-laws divorced. Michael kicked Emily out of the house and seemed to be enjoying his life alone in the spacious family home. According to Ryan, Emily rented a rundown apartment and, unable to find work, was living off her dwindling savings. Michael continued to apologize to me even after the divorce. It was clear he felt genuinely sorry. At first, I told him there was no need for him to apologize, but eventually, I accepted his apologies. By the way, I never told my parents about this whole ordeal. I didn't want to worry them unnecessarily. Maybe one day, I'll tell them, but for now, I'm focusing on moving forward. Currently, Ryan and I are living a happy life together. Ryan's business trip has ended, and I'm thrilled to have him home all the time. My relationship with Michael has also improved, and now we even have meals together as a family. I've come to realize Michael is actually quite sociable, which has significantly improved my opinion of him.
You know, Emily used to say something about feeding you leftovers if you came over for the Christmas holidays. That never actually happened, did it? Or did I miss something?
It was the first Christmas after my in-laws' divorce. When Ryan and I visited Michael's house, he casually brought up that topic.
Oh, that. Was everything okay?
In truth, I never ended up being fed leftovers. Whether it was just a threat, harassment, or something she genuinely planned to do, I'll never know. It's fine. But if I hadn't been able to talk to anyone about it back then, I might have actually been made to eat them.
Well, I'm glad to hear that.
If Michael hadn't been there, I wouldn't have been able to resolve anything and would have continued enduring Emily's harassment. Thinking about that, I felt nothing but gratitude toward Michael. From now on, I want to find ways to repay Michael for his kindness. For all the help he gave me this time, and even more than that. What would make Michael happy? As I pondered this, I went about my daily life.